Well, this is a complicated forecast here, really a complicated one as we go into the weekend, and it's a natural obvious for a Facebook Live video. I will say that if you guys follow me on Facebook, which obviously everybody in here is doing, you probably saw me post a little bit earlier that the Storms Prediction Center was monitoring our area tonight for a potential watch. What they decided is not to put any of our area in this severe thunderstorm watch. So to be clear, our area not included in a severe thunderstorm watch during the overnight hours, and I will say that I actually think that was a good forecast and a good call from the Storms Prediction Center. You know, I tell you guys on a regular basis, sometimes I agree with the Storms Prediction Center weather service, sometimes I don't. I just call it like I see it. And I'll give them credit. Again, I think that the location of the severe thunderstorm watch, which I'll show you here in a moment, is actually pretty good for the overnight hours. As we start off the video, guys, if you enjoy the opportunity and ability to see my severe weather analysis through a Facebook Live video, where we can get into more detail on a nightly basis, please do me a favor. Like, love, and share the video. The reason sharing, I get asked a lot why that's the most important. Sharing's a big one because in what I do, I want to reach as many people as possible. And when you guys share the video, you basically are inviting more people into the video and making my job easier. I can reach more people with my Facebook Live videos. So please share the video. Our goal tonight on our shares, which we do basically every night, is going to be 1,000. Shouldn't be too hard tonight. We've got about 350 eyeballs in here tonight. What that means is I would need 3 shares from everybody in here to get to our share goal. I feel it's a pretty easy one to make it, so everybody share early, share often, 3 times each, and we'll make it to our share goal. So let's start to move into our topic of discussion. The Storms Prediction Center wording for tomorrow. You guys remember what I showed you yesterday, and I will show you again what they have for today. And some of the wording, once again, like it was yesterday, is rather aggressive. So looking at that wording, let me show you what the Prediction Center has. You can actually read it yourself per their latest forecast, and I will highlight it for you what they're saying. So they have the wording, widespread severe gusts are likely from the Ozark Plateau into the lower Ohio Valley. Large to giant hail, tornadoes, and wind damage are possible for parts of Oklahoma, Kansas, and eastward into portions of the Ohio Valley. So you'll notice 2 mentions of the Ohio Valley here. The other part to this is the National Weather Service wording for today during their conference call is they said that their concern of damaging winds for our area would be on a level of 8 out of 10. So saying these 2 things really definitely gets your attention and makes you wonder, do we need to really be concerned? How big of a deal is this that we're talking about? Well, let's start to move through this as we start, and where we're going to start by looking at is current radar. What do we have going on in our area? Well, to be honest, in our area we don't have anything going on. We do have thunderstorms, but they're off to the north. I'll take you to where we have severe weather approaching the Indianapolis area. What's important to note about this is, as you look near the Indianapolis area, you can see the strong to severe thunderstorms. Next thing that we need to look at is what direction are they moving. So I'm going to give you an hour's worth of motion on these, and you can see if you're to draw an arrow on these, they're basically moving towards the east-southeast. So this would move them towards the Cincinnati area. So what specifically would that mean for our viewing area? Well, this cluster of storms you can see is generally speaking going to miss most of our viewing area. So in the tonight, what is going on? Well, we've got a severe thunderstorm watch off to the north. I agree with the Storms Prediction Center not including our area. Where things get more complicated is in tomorrow. Now I'll come back to this graphic but a little later and give you my thoughts. But the Storms Prediction Center has a large moderate risk near Kansas City, just south of St. Louis, into the Boot Heel, Missouri, and into the Paducah area. And I can tell you, for damaging winds, when you have a moderate risk, this is a pretty significant one. For our area, what you notice is there's a little hatched area. What does that mean? In the old days of doing severe risks, we broke things down into 3 categories. And you guys know on the regular that I tell you a 3-category system, in my opinion, is easily digestible. Moving into a 6-category system like they have is very, very, very complicated. for me even as a meteorologist to understand, and I think for you just as a viewer that can be a lot. I'll show you where they have what they call their enhanced slight risk. What's the difference? Well, the difference in the yellow here is a 15% probability of severe, and the difference in that orange hatched area is a 30% probability. So where you have that hatched area simply means you're not in that second to highest category called the moderate risk, but you know, it's a little bit greater probability. Do I agree with the placement on that? Actually, I don't, but I'll come back to that here in a moment. So we've got this moderate risk of severe weather to our west. Our area is in the high end slight risk of severe weather. Damaging winds and large hail are the main threat. The National Weather Service said the damaging wind concern is an 8 out of 10, and they've used the word potentially significant wind damage possible and damaging wind from this system. So that's a lot of aggressive wording. What I'd like to show you as we look at our Facebook Live video tonight in my analysis, I want to show you guys some of the computer model projections. The North American Mesoscale computer model, honestly, traditionally speaking, is a pretty good model at dealing with thunderstorms, but there are higher resolution versions that can deal with situations like what we have Saturday night a little bit better. So what are we looking at? Well, the area I want you to focus on, and we're going to spend some real time analyzing this, the area I want you to focus on is what is in western Missouri as we go towards 4 p.m. tomorrow. Now, what I am doing is showing you the latest computer model run of the North American Mesoscale. What I also want to show you is the prior run. So this being the current, this being the prior. What you notice is the data shifting the cluster further south. Now, if you're wondering why do I care about that, well, if that cluster is further north, it goes right across our area. If that cluster is further south, it can basically miss our area and go through Tennessee. So this becomes something that's very, very, very important. The North American Mesoscale computer model at 7 p.m. shows the storms near St. Louis. At 10 p.m. it shows the storms approaching Evansville. At 1 a.m. it shows a strong area blasting into the Louisville area, 1 to 2 a.m., and then moving off to the east. But what you will notice is it's showing this consistent signal of a very strong area of storms blasting southward into Tennessee. So there's some question marks with respect to how strong that would be as it made a run towards Louisville. When we look at fuel values, you see there's two areas where there are high fuel values. It shows one with a beeline into Louisville. It shows another that takes the storm south into Tennessee. And this is complicated because the storms will follow where the highest fuel is located. So you can make an argument in this model that they should go south, or you can make a slight argument that they should make a move towards the Ohio Valley. Now, this particular computer model has a version that is what we call the high resolution, or the 3-kilometer North American Mesoscale. In this scenario, in my opinion, it's one of the best computer models. The first thing that we would note is that it's showing the storms further south. And what I want to see if I can do is I'm going to actually change between these computer models for the exact same time. And I'm going to leave my arrow pointed so that you can actually see the difference. So I'm pointing right at the middle of the storms on the current run of the North American Mesoscale computer model, the regular, and then I'm going to show you the high-res version. And it is very clear that the high-resolution version is showing the storms further to the south. Now, if those storms are further south, they run further south. So let's go through this exercise. This is 4 p.m. The storms are not approaching St. Louis in this computer model at 8 p.m. They're approaching the Boot Heel, Missouri. At 10 p.m., the storms are moving across the Kentucky-Tennessee line, and there is virtually nothing on a trajectory course that takes it towards Louisville. And you see as we go, it shows the severe weather completely and virtually missing our area and diving south through Tennessee into Alabama and Mississippi. And I'll show you that scenario again Watch the storms come through Missouri and dive south into Tennessee. There's the severe storms generating, making a move off to the south, becoming very severe over Tennessee, and then dying out as they get into the northern part of Mississippi and Alabama. So you see a very different picture within the computer models. Now, you're probably saying, well, which one's right? What I can say is that a majority of the high-resolution computer models are taking the storms south through Tennessee and showing somewhat of a miss within our viewing area. Let me then show you what the data indicates on advanced track during the afternoon and overnight on Saturday. So advanced track does, by the way, show a couple showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon. So I am going to keep it 30% for Saturday. Let me zoom this out so you can get a sense of what we're talking about. And you'll notice here's the warm front, here's the storms, and it's showing the storms from Evansville to Paducah, and you'll notice the time right here is 9:30. So this is really important. Remember, the storms that produced, or the computer model run that brought those right into our area had the worst of the storms near St. Louis. Clearly, advanced track is showing the worst of those storms diving towards Paducah. Now, you'll notice as we go towards 11, if we're to get these storms within our area, I would say 11 p.m. for our western counties. The storms continue their movement between midnight and around 1 a.m. from Louisville through E-Town, and then the storms get into our eastern counties anywhere between 1 a.m. and around 5 a.m. Now, with that said, on that timing, let's go back and notice what the computer models are indicating, this being advanced track. Saturday at 10:30 and 11 on advanced track, what you notice is it does have an area of thunderstorms that are moving towards us. And honestly, some of those could be strong to severe. With that said, it is clearly showing a large area of severe weather near Paducah. And as we look at that, you can see that large area of severe weather is actually not coming towards our area. It is actually diving southward. And you can see it shows some storms, but it is very clearly showing the worst of the severe thunderstorms going through Paducah, going through Nashville, and virtually missing our area. So this makes for a somewhat complicated forecast. Bottom line with this severe weather threat for tomorrow. So if I was creating this severe weather threat, what would I do? I would actually draw the moderate risk of severe weather in this location right here. So what you will notice is I would trend that, instead of going due east, I would trend it a little bit more south. We do know that storms will chase where the best fuel is, and the fuel does look better towards our south and east. For that enhanced slight risk, which right now goes through Indianapolis, I would also draw that south, and I would put that south of Louisville. And I would leave Louisville and southern Indiana in the regular slight risk for severe weather. So honestly, the bottom line here is, the message for tomorrow night is, damaging winds and hail are the primary threat. The timing, if we see them in our area, you know, I'll give you some broad times again. 10 to midnight, western counties, midnight to 2 a.m. along the I-65 corridor, including Louisville, and our eastern counties anywhere between 1 and around 5 a.m. Now, with that said, in my opinion, these storms diving to the south is a more likely scenario. So what, in my opinion, that would mean is south of the parkways would have a greater chance of generating severe weather. And I feel like it's more likely that the large area of damaging to destructive winds would go through Paducah and then into northwest Tennessee. That doesn't mean we don't see severe weather, but what that would mean is we don't get the brunt of the worst of this. Is it possible that this moves along 64 into our area? It is possible. But in my opinion, it would be more likely that the storms make that southward dive. So the bottom line is we need to watch tomorrow night. Potential severe weather, absolutely. Are there complexities? Absolutely. Are there uncertainties? Yes, 100%. Could we see widespread severe weather in our area? It is an absolute possibility. But my feeling is that the more likely scenario would be the very destructive wind event over Missouri, diving through Paducah, and then into the southern part of Kentucky. Now, I will mention one thing, guys. If that scenario occurs and the storms make more of a move south, that would lower our thunderstorm chance on Sunday. So there is a very large trickle-down effect that could occur from this. It's not wise to tell you one scenario or the other is a guarantee, because this is not a scenario where I can guarantee exactly what's going to happen. But what I tell you is what the most likely situation is based on the data that I'm viewing right now. The key will be, where do the thunderstorms form tomorrow? If they form further north, we would have a bigger problem. If they form further south, we would have a lower problem. So I know there's going to be a lot of questions here. What I would ask is, let's focus our questions only on the severe weather threat for tonight. For Saturday night. Let's only focus our questions on the severe weather threat for Saturday night in this video, and I will discuss rain chances day Saturday, day Sunday on WDRB News at 10 o'clock tonight. But I will tell you, the storms that fire in the heat of the afternoon, absolutely some could be severe, but the greatest concern tomorrow would be tomorrow night. So with that, let's open it up to questions here, guys. And by the way, we're up at 573 shares. Share goal tonight is to get to 1,000 shares. What we would need is 400 shares more. 2 shares from everybody makes it, so we'll get there. LaDonna saying, thank you for explaining it so thoroughly. And I appreciate that. What I really try to do is give you guys information in a way that's hopefully digestible. So Brittany's saying, if we do get a major storm, are the winds going to be comparable to the windstorm we had several years ago during Hurricane Ike? So if you remember in Ike actually, when it produced the strongest winds, had no rain. Ike was kind of a weird one. But if you're asking, do I think we could see hurricane force winds within our area that were widespread, I don't think we would see widespread hurricane force winds, even in the worst case scenario for our area. I do think that worst case scenario for tomorrow would be 60 to 70 mile an hour winds. Best case still remains that we only get scattered and the more widespread stays off to the south. Debbie's saying, thank you, Mark. I've always enjoyed watching your video. Thank you. And I apologize, guys. My allergies today are not good. Taylor's asking if there is a tornado threat. It is not a zero tornado threat tomorrow. But far and away in that scenario, damaging winds and hail are the main threats. Kayla asked a good question. What's the Torcon for our area tomorrow? So Kayla, I will actually answer that one. Torcon is not actually a real value. In fact, every meteorologist across the country virtually takes a stand against it because it's a value that somebody invented. Problem with a value inventing like that is that it's not widely accepted in the meteorological community, and it means you're not going to hear it. So the issue with somebody doing that is it means you're going to get mixed signals. James Spann, great Met out of Alabama, has taken a deep stance against it, as I have. Torcon is a ratings grab is what it is. There is no accepted, used meteorological value called Torcon anywhere within the data or anything within meteorology. And that is a fact. So unfortunately, it's used as a ratings grab. It just isn't accepted. So. And for what it's worth, Dr. Forbes is a fantastic meteorologist, so not to take anything away from him. Kayla saying good evening. Hope you're having a nice evening. John saying campers need to be weather aware. And that is one of the main messages I want to get across. If you're considering camping tomorrow night or Sunday, my opinion is tomorrow night cancel. I don't think it's worth the risk. So if those storms do get into our area and one of, let's say, the case that does develop more widespread severe, you're stuck in the middle of the woods, you could see locally heavy rain, and you could potentially have severe weather. And that is way dangerous to be outside camping in a scenario like that. So if you're thinking about camping tomorrow night, my opinion is it's not worth the risk. So that's my thinking on that. And the potential, if you get the worst of the two scenarios, is a lot of rain could fall. As I stated, I would lean more towards this scenario of it going through Tennessee. With that said, you know, we need to prepare ourselves for both scenarios because there is data pointing towards both ways. Jonathan's asking about what kind of watch would be issued. Jonathan, truth be told, is I can only forecast the weather. I can't forecast what the Storms Prediction Center is going to do. It's impossible. So with that, problem is that the Storms Prediction Center earlier this year, when we had about 10 severe thunderstorm warnings, several tornado warnings and a tornado touchdown, refused to issue a watch in our area. And they also issued a tornado watch the other day where we didn't even see anything remotely close to severe, nor would we. So the problem is I can't forecast what the Storms Prediction Center is going to do. In fact, there are many times that I'm scratching my head saying, what in the world are they thinking? I couldn't disagree more. So I have no way to say what they would do because, in my opinion, they have been erratic this year. They've been erratic for a couple of years. Alex Flock is asking about if this could be a derecho. So a derecho has to go a long distance, normally close to 1,000 miles, and I don't think that this is going to go far enough to meet that criteria. Marianne is asking about hail size. So within our area, you know, hail producers are certainly possible. You know, and quarters are possible with the strongest storms. Remember, there's different scenarios. So on the worst case scenario, you know, you could see some of the quarters, maybe a touch larger. Best case would take most of the nasty to the south. Sean's asking, how severe is it looking for Radcliffe tomorrow night through Sunday? Sean, what I will tell you is you got to go back and watch the beginning of the video on that one, because there are two distinct scenarios and it's not as simple as answering how severe for one area. In my business, unfortunately, what we do have to deal with is uncertainty, and I go through both distinct scenarios in the beginning of the video. Corey asking tornado chances for southern Indiana. Like I said, the tornado threat is not the largest threat. The greater threat would be damaging winds and hail. Sitting at 677 shares with 10 minutes left, 300 eyeballs in here. All right, guys, let's not make tonight the night we don't make it to 1,000 shares. If we do, it's 76 nights in a row. So let's bump up the shares here and get the video out to as many people as possible. Amanda asked tornado chance, just answered that one. Alex asking about what generates fuel. Warmth, high dew points, cool mid-level temperatures. Michael's asking, will an individual town get hail? Michael, that's not within our skill set. We can't tell you 24 hours into the future if you're going to get hail. And honestly, we struggle even 15 minutes into the future to tell you whether you're going to see hail. It's very, very difficult sometimes to give you the exact threat for an exact town. Isabella is asking if there's a chance that this moves south. Absolutely. And I would actually lean more towards the most destructive part of this line being west and southwest of our area. Tammy's asking, what's the likelihood of it going south of southern Indiana? I mean, it's a legit possibility. It really is. It really, in my opinion, would be the worst of it. Again, that area where we have widespread damaging to destructive winds will be west. And I do think it's conceivable it could be completely southwest of our area, the worst. 10 shares from Curtis, thank you. By the way, after you guys share the video, let me know down below so I can give you guys a shout out. Victor's asking if we could see strong winds in the metro. Yes, absolutely. There's a chance of strong storms tomorrow afternoon, and then tomorrow night we've gone through the two scenarios. Tabby's asking if I can see the map. So Tabby, we spent about 5 or 6 minutes going through the exact areas that are going to see the worst. Showing you one computer model is a true disservice to a scenario like this because the data shows some coming through our basically along 64, and then advanced track, which you can see behind me, shows the stronger storms going through West Tennessee. And I'll flip that over real quick so you can see. So some of the computer models are taking the strongest through Nashville, Paducah, land between the lakes. Some of the data is taking that through Louisville. So it is a true disservice to a scenario like this to only show you one solution. Sean with 350 shares. That's a huge number. Thank you, Sean. Gretchen with a share. Thank you. Patty's asking about Jeffersonville area. Again, an individual town. I cannot tell you exactly what's going to happen for your town. Could you see severe weather tomorrow afternoon? Yes. Could you see it tomorrow night? Yes. I think the more widespread is going to be further south and west, most likely. Timothy with 5 shares, thank you. Nick's asking me, what computer model do I rely on? It's a good question, Nick. And what we hear a lot is, well, the European computer model is better, or the NAM computer model is better. And the truth of the matter is, the NAM computer model is terrible sometimes. The GFS computer model is horrendous sometimes. The European computer model is out to lunch sometimes. So to say one's better than the other is not a wise thing. Can some be better models in certain situations than others? Absolutely. Can some be terrible models in certain situations? Absolutely. So I don't go at forecasting as saying the NAM computer model is better, or the GFS, or the Euro, or the 3K, or the ARWWRF. I look at each model and I try to evaluate the realism of its solution when I make a forecast. Karen's asking about what about E-Town. So anything afternoon could see some storms. I'll go through the timing and the probability of strong storms tomorrow afternoon on WDRB News at 10. Tomorrow night is what we're focusing on in this one. Shay with 25 shares, thank you. Teresa with 5 shares. And I'll also mention, this is really an important one, is that we've seen a lot of rain in parts of our area in the last 2 weeks. So any heavy rain is going to cause flash flooding issues. So we need to watch that kind of a situation. Jen's saying we're heading from northeast Louisville to Columbus, Ohio. Should we be concerned? Some stronger possible tomorrow afternoon, some severe tomorrow night. But heading towards Columbus, I think you're going to be in the, if you wait till tomorrow, you're fine. Tonight there are severe storms. Adam's asking if Advanced Track is biased towards one model. So that's a great question. Advanced Track is in the higher resolution, similar to the 3-kilometer NAM, the high resolution NAM. And the regular Advanced Track that we use is similar to the operational run of the NAM. Now, it's not the exact same thing because there's different mesoscale physics used in there, but it does initialize off those. So it's a good question. BJ saying, can I golf tomorrow? I mean, there's a storm chance tomorrow. The best chance would be tomorrow night. We are at 895 shares. We've got 2 minutes left, guys. Before, so I need you guys to share the video a lot here so we can get over 1,000 for the 76th consecutive night. And let me tell you guys what I'm going to be discussing on WDRB News at 10. So WDRB News at 10 o'clock, top of the hour. There's severe weather in Indianapolis at this minute. 70-mile-an-hour winds. The severe thunderstorm watch did not include our area, but I'm going to give you guys an update during the overnight hours on where those storms are going and do we have any concerns for our area on WDRB News at 10 o'clock, top of the hour. 10:22, what I'm going to be discussing is Saturday severe threat. Saturday and Saturday night is when we have the highest threat from the Storms Prediction Center. I'm going to look at the latest data and give you an update on my analysis of the severe weather threat on WDRB News at 10:22. And then on WDRB News at 10:37, we have storm chances Saturday, storm chances Sunday. I think it gets way better on Memorial Day. But I'm going to go through all the scenarios for the weekend, talk about when those storms are most likely, and look at a pretty solid stretch of weather for next week at 10:37. So the time I need you guys to watch would be WDRB News at 10, 10:22, and 10:37. I know there's a lot of people with outdoor plans this weekend saying, our rain and thunderstorm is going to affect my area, and I will address that on WDRB News at 10 o'clock. 1 minute left on our Facebook Live video. Goal is 1,000 shares. I'd love to punch it over 1,100 just so we can make sure. We're at 1050 right now, so we need about another 50 shares from 200 people in here, which seems pretty easy. And we got 1 more minute for a couple more questions. Joy is saying, traveling to Panama City Beach. If you are traveling that way tomorrow, my feeling is head out early. If you go out If you head out around 7 a.m. tomorrow, you'll probably beat everything going south. Phil is saying at least I got my lawn mowed. Gretchen's saying I'll be watching. I appreciate that. Somebody asked if we made the share goal. Let me look here quickly. We've got 20 seconds left. Share away, guys. Remember, you can continue to share the video even after it ends. You can continue to like and love the video, and you can continue to comment. And I will try my best to look back. Rick's off tonight, so it means all the newscasts are mine tonight, and it's been a busy day. 1,113 shares. You guys hear my voice is a little messed up from allergies. I'm going to rest my voice for a little while. I know everybody's going to be curious about when it's going to rain. During the weekend, I will give you all my thoughts on that on WDRB News at 10, 10:22, and 10:37. Remember, you continue to like, love, and share even after the video ends. I'm going to rest for a few minutes, and I'll see you guys at 10.